WBNE.
Howdy, yokes. Before we get started today, we want to let you know that this episode of Bacon and Eggs is brought to you by the COVID-19 vaccines. It's brought to you by Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, all freely available within 95% of Americans within a 5-minute drive. If you haven't yet gotten your vaccine, now's the time. Pause the show. Go get it. If you're not an American, things are a little different, and I don't know the rules in your country. But if you are an American, it's super easy and super free. So go get the vaccine so that everything can kind of go quasi back to the new, different normal where we have sort of things that are different. But go get the vaccine.
And, also not die.
Oh, and don't die. Yeah. Because if you die, you can't go to patreon.com/baconandeggs to check out all the great reward tiers we have. You can even check out the $10 tier where there's an extra 4 minutes of content already in this one episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for donating. And thank you so much for getting the vaccine. On with the show. Howdy, yokes, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs. I'm Tyler Carlin.
And I'm Ethan Edgehill.
And today we're fighting a dragon.
Or maybe we're just looking for a rock.
So sail down the river in a barrel.
And hey, look, Orlando Bloom's in this movie.
Because today we're bringing you
The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug.
That sounded unnatural, Tyler, is what the non-demonic
Anyway,
version.
we're joined today by comedian Mary Clay Watt, host of the podcast.
Not true.
That's what I'm talking about.
True.
Available every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts, and now on Spotify and on the WBD Podcast Network.
And
the
Audible.
Hobbit : I said wherever you get your podcasts. That's one of the places that you get your. It's one of the places. Hey, Mary Clay. That's one of the places where you get your podcasts.
Yeah, but you got to call
I'm not calling
Audible.
out Jeffrey Bezos.
But you called out whoever owns Spotify.
Daniel
What's his
Ek,
face?
the owner of the Arsenal Football Club.
Steve Jobs. That's his name.
He's
He's
dead,
dead,
on
though.
Spotify.
Steve Jobs does not own Spotify.
Does Apple not own
Neither
Spotify?
does Tim Cook.
Fantastic.
Anyway,
I'm looking up
Spotify is not an Apple product, and the Hobbit, the defecation
Spotify.
of Smaug was
the denomination of Smaug.
Yeah, I'm sticking with defecation of Smaug. Was directed by Peter Jackson, released December 13th, 2013, 2,797 days ago, on a $191 to $250 million budget, made $959 million at the box office, got a 74% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and an 85% audience rating, and a 66 on Metacritic. Before we get to our personal scores and some listener reviews, Tyler, do you have a positive critical review from a professional critic that reviews movies for a living? Because I have a negative review from somebody who probably doesn't make all that much money reviewing movies, honestly.
No, you don't think so?
My review here is from Brent McKnight of The Last Thing I See, and Brent McKnight says, overlong, bloated, and tedious, Jackson even did something that I'd thought impossible. He made a giant fire-breathing dragon voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch. Boring as hell.
Well, I have a review on December 13th, 2013. So this is like a true blue, saw it opening night, wrote the review, published it. Leonard Maltin from leonardmaltin.com. He's a top critic here on Rotten Tomatoes. He says, the hand-to-hand combat that fills the movie is seamlessly integrated into a make-believe world created by the magicians at Jackson's WETA workshop. Rating...
It's pronounced Weta.
Weta workshop.
What did you say, Weta?
He said WETA.
Oh.
Rating 2.1 out of 2.
I looked up on Wikipedia. Daniel Ek owns Spotify, and
Yes, Mary Clay, I said that.
I didn't hear it.
He also owns
I'm,
Arsenal.
Yes, but our listeners heard it.
And he looks interesting. His
Okay.
face looks like a bowling ball.
Real quick, I do want to get some listener reviews, and then we're going to talk about how you could possibly think that Spotify is an Apple product, despite the fact that Spotify is a direct Apple competitor. We are going to drill down on that because that makes no sense and your logic is broken. Before we do that, I've got a negative review here from listener Tanaroo on Discord who says 19 out of 100, one of my least favorite movies I've ever seen.
Yikes. Yikeroni.
That is a bad review.
If this is truly the worst movie you've ever seen, you haven't seen enough bad movies.
I've got a review from Irina Rodriguez who says 100 out of 100. star-eyed emoji, star-eyed emoji.
No, so I do want to just come back to what Mary Clay just said, because I think
What did I say?
that Mary Clay makes a great point where you just said that if this is the worst movie you've ever seen, that you haven't seen enough bad movies. And I don't think that's true, because this is bad in a different way than usual bad movies are bad.
This, to me, hit so many things right and then so many things so painfully wrong. And when I say wrong, I mean long. I mean 2 hours and 41 minutes of the worst pacing in cinematic history.
Because, so the review didn't say the worst movies I've ever seen. It did say my least favorite movies I've ever seen, which I think is a completely different conversation.
Yeah, that's different.
Because there's something about a good bad movie that makes this is a bad movie. Okay, this is a bad movie. It might be a better
debatable.
movie than some. Hold on, let me finish. It might be technically a better movie than some worse movies. But there are worse movies that are good bad movies.
My brain trying to do that math.
No,
Yes.
here's the truth.
Like, this is technically a better movie than all of the Fast and Furious sequels.
Disagreed.
But it sucks in comparison. Those are better bad movies.
I've never seen.
They probably have
any of
worse
the
ratings.
Furious.
They
and Fasts.
probably made less money for the most part. And I would say generally people like this movie more than like Six Fast, Six Furious.
Here's what I think, Ethan. I truthfully believe that this movie falls into a weird category with like The Room and Rocky Horror Picture Show.
No.
See,
Hear me out.
those are
Everybody hear
good
me out.
bad movies.
No, those are cult
Hear me out.
classics,
That's what I'm saying.
though,
Is
with like audience
those are cult
participation
classics.
moments.
I think we may not be there yet, but the Hobbit trilogy as a cult classic, like movie marathon event. Hello, there's Emily. As a movie marathon
Just
event.
a single
that,
eye.
Like,
Hi, Emily.
It's Sauron.
that's Sauron. That like you do with a group of people and you like laugh at all the silly moments in The Hobbit, and then you watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy as like not just a palate cleanser, but like as a sashimi,
soul
like
cleanser.
Like a delicious, amazing 12-hour movie watching experience. I don't think we're too far from that, and I think the closest relationship this has is to that of the Star Wars prequels, in that like there was an amazing trilogy of movies, and then the guy who made it was like, I'm gonna make 3 more that suck.
Attack of the Clones
Is
a worse movie than this.
Is worse
but
than
it's a
this.
better bad movie.
Because it came out 10 years earlier. I'm telling you.
No, it's just better characters.
There's not better characters. This has Evangeline Lilly in it. Although I
Okay,
suppose
that's not a character. That's an actress.
That's an actress.
Attack of
Yeah.
the Clones does have Natalie
Tariel
Portman
is
in it, which is like
Barely a character. Let's-
Let me,
They tried their darndest.
Let me be very
They're
clear.
like, there's a whole lot of, and I froze. Oh, nope, I'm back. I'm gonna have like PTSD.
Yeah, your
from my
internet is
There's
really
a whole
on
lot
one
of
tonight.
Toriel is a female character and she's a badass, but
It's like
she's a lowly warrior.
It's like, hey, it's a woman. Hey, everyone, look, it's a her.
The girl.
It's a she. We didn't have any of
But then
those in
they,
the first
like-
movie. Aren't you so
Yeah,
proud of
Galadriel.
us?
Yeah, they had
Yeah,
Galadriel.
but she was there for 5 minutes and then.
I hear what you're saying. It doesn't make up for anything, but you can't forget Galadriel.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Here's
Well,
the thing.
You seem
Here's
a little
the
more
thing.
stable, so
Great.
Let's plow
I'm glad one thing about me seems stable, because it's not up here. I can tell you that much, because I made the mistake of preparing for one of my recordings tomorrow by just before we hopped on this call, I was taking notes for the end. Oh God, what's the movie before this one? Unexpected Journey. So I have.
that was a very suspicious sounding cough, but I did mean it as a legitimate cough.
I actually have a confession about An Unexpected Journey, specifically the end of it.
You didn't watch it, I get
I
it.
did watch it while we were recording last week. Like, if you listen to the episode, there's a chunk right at the beginning where I don't say anything. And
Didn't know what was happening.
because I was watching the An Unexpected Journey. Shitty ending.
So
Terrible
anyway,
ending.
I don't remember. Well, here's my thing is that at least with An Unexpected Journey, it ends with like a little bit of resolution of this conflict between Bilbo and the dwarves, and they've kind of accepted him, which does not match up with the book. That's fine, whatever. Nothing at this point is matching up with the book. So there's like that little bit of resolution. They had some sort of, climactic battle scene that has to happen at the end of a Peter Jackson Tolkien movie. That's fine. And then there's that little cliffhanger when you see Bilbo's like, I think all of our troubles are behind us. And then you see Smaug opening his eye. That's a okay ending. The ending in this movie is not an ending. This is a to be continued thing.
Yeah.
Which none of the 3 Lord of the Rings movies ever felt like. I mean, obviously it was like there's more to the story that we need to watch in the next movie. But but like they all felt in some way that there was a complete narrative beginning, middle, and end. And Desolation of Smaug is where I do not feel that at all, where it just feels like it's supposed to just autoplay into the next movie.
Hold on, I have a question. If you had no responsibilities in this life, like you didn't have to go to work, you didn't have to go to the grocery store, like you were well stocked, your food was already made, and you just had 3.5 hours, would this be as bad? Like if it was just on and you just kept watching it, like a TV show.
It would take you more than 3.5 hours to watch all of them.
No,
I don't
just the
understand what you're
Desolation
saying.
of Smaug.
Oh, so you're saying if there's literally nothing else in my life that I have to do, that's my thing is that I like watching Desolation of Smaug, I go back and forth all these different moments of like, this is terrible. And then I'm like, actually, this isn't too bad. Like, putting the book aside, this isn't too bad.
Thing. Yeah.
And then Bard shows up. He's great. He's really great. He looks like Will Turner.
Do you think Bard is pretty?
Do I think Bard is pretty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
think
like
he's a good, attractive looking man. And then right away they're like, I'm a father of 3 children and my wife was beautiful and she died. And you're like, I'm immediately attracted to you.
The problem is I just watched, I think this is where I got it stuck in my head though, because he's the villain in 6 Fast, 6 Furious, which I just watched like a week and a half ago.
Nice.
And so he came on screen and I was just like, Owen Shaw, you bastard.
Who is that actor?
He's
I
that
do
guy
not know
from
his
the
name.
Thing.
But yeah, so
Luke Evans.
to answer your question, Tyler, you would have to get very far past I have nothing that I have to do. And you would also have to cross over, like, is there anything I want to do more than watch The Desolation of Smaug?
No, I think, but there's a,
and
there's
the
a
answer
fine
is
line.
like most things.
But I think there's like a weird fine. I will say, like, the pacing is like there are action sequences that are amazing and well choreographed and moderately well animated that I'm watching this movie and I get bored watching. Like, how do you do that?
I would rather watch The Crimes of Grindelwald on purpose.
No.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
Well, see, here's the thing, though.
That has a plot, though.
About
No,
does it though? Crimes of Grindelwald at least
the
is like
worst.
there's so much going on that you're like, this isn't a movie. This is nonsense.
This
but I
is
guess I'm
utter
just along
nonsense.
for the ride. Whereas this, at least, there are stories. I'm just not. I was really thinking about it, and I'm like, I think the reason why these trilogies are so not good is because they just keep throwing in all these extra elements that will cut away from the main story to go see. And like we're supposed to, so the main one is Gandalf's side of the story dealing with the necromancer. And I think it's because like we know what happens with that darkness and whatnot. Like we know what that turns into. We know what that comes to be 60 years later and how that ends. So I'm not really interested in watching Gandalf take on the necromancer because I know whatever they're going to do ultimately will not work.
Oh,
So I don't care.
No, I don't feel that way. I feel like, I mean, I keep going to the Harry Potter movies, and I know that Dumbledore is going to defeat Grindelwald in the duel in 1962 or whatever. Like, the fact that like that is Sauron to me is like that's kind of an interesting origin story. Plus, how's Gandalf going to survive this? He just lost his stick.
Well, the thing, though, is that that's not even his origin story. His origin story would have been, 5,000 whatever years ago. And that's what I think
You talking about Sauron, or are you talking about...
Sauron.
Well, this is the origin of, like, the Eye of Sauron, right? Is this not canon?
I mean, Sauron existed, like, as a human vessel.
No, I understand that.
Thousands and thousands of years ago. He had several forms.
If I watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy, one of my biggest questions, if I've never read the books and I don't know the extended lore, one of my biggest questions is, how did he get a big old fiery eye on a tower after getting his finger chopped off? So I think connecting those dots is a worthwhile story to tell. I think where I get a little bored is like the Wood Elves having such like dark history. Like Legolas to me in the original trilogy seemed so pure.
Yeah.
Legolas is a dick in this movie.
Legolas is like a dick.
He's so dark and jaded and like I've been scorned by the world and blah, and then like it makes no sense what happens to his character in the 60-year span between now and Lord of the Rings, where he seems all like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and it's like
you cannot
what
connect.
happened?
You cannot connect this Legolas with the Legolas that like
I know it's
counts,
impossible.
Bodies with Gimli at Helm's Deep.
Yeah, it's impossible. Except for, how about, was that not y'all's favorite part of the movie when they pull the locket out of Dwarf That Will Not Be Named, and they're like, who's this? That's my wee lad, Gimli.
I did laugh.
And I lost it. I was like, ah! And then Legolas is like, wow, he's ugly. And I'm like, joke's on you. You guys are going to sail off into the literal sunset and to another plane of existence.
Normally I like those references, but this time I was just like, yeah, it's Gimli. Funny.
I think it was the right amount. I think anything more would have been
the moment when Smaug
dumb.
At the end was like, nothing can pierce my flesh, and the next frame is the black
is Bard
arrow
with holding
not
the black
even
arrow.
Bard, but like the black arrow comes out the door, and then Bard comes. I was like, shut up!
You hated
Peter
that?
Jackson.
I don't care. I really liked it. I liked it.
Can I take a timeout for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, what?
Y'all
What?
are telling me that this movie that we all just watched for this podcast explains how Sauron got the eye.
Well, the next movie also supposedly helps piece that together.
I've missed that entirely.
It's because whenever it cuts to Gandalf, that's like, okay, it's time to go in the kitchen and get a snack. It's
Every time it cuts to Gandalf, my brain goes, all right, look at your phone.
And again, I think it's because we know what happens with this other plotline. Like, we already know what happens, and nothing that they do on that side of the story is ever going to be as cool as what happens in Lord of the Rings. So what's the point?
Well, it also raises the question,
devoting time to it now.
Gandalf is going to escape Sauron, right? We know that. And Gandalf is going to lose to a Balrog. And that, to me, is like...
Well, it's technically...
Because they did my boy Gandalf dirty.
Well, this
in the
technically
trilogy.
isn't Sauron in his full form, so maybe I could understand that.
Well, they did my boy Gandalf dirty in the trilogy.
Which trilogy?
I maintain this.
This trilogy?
The main trilogy.
Main trilogy.
Like the Return of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The one that was actually books.
Los
multiple.
libros.
Books plural. Like, J.R. Tolkien was like, man, I got this really cool wizard.
Man,
Fuck
he
him.
played Gaston in Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
J.R.R. Tolkien played Gaston in Beauty and the Beast?
Yes.
No, Sir Ian
Good
McKellen.
Christ.
Luke Bard. What's his name? Luke Evans.
Luke Evans.
He
played
really-
Owen
the thing,
Shaw
though-
in
the
Six
thing,
Fast, Six
though,
Furious.
Is that, like, he has that facial hair in real life.
Yes.
Like, that's
Okay.
what... So it took me...
Well, not currently, because he's filming Beauty and the Beast, the TV
Probably.
series.
Before we talk about the guy that looks like Will Turner and the guy that is Will Turner, Tyler Carlin, the Hobbit: The Defecation of Smaug, 0 out of 100.
I want to say I will revisit this. I will watch it again. I'll continue to enjoy the barrels. I'll continue to love
10 out of
the world
100.
love the world that Tolkien created, and love Bilbo and Martin Freeman and Smaug and the whole thing.
We get it. You don't want to alienate half of your audience. Maybe like a third. Maybe like a
None
fourth.
of them like this is
Maybe
my
a 12th.
unpopular
It's
opinion.
just
I like it.
it's just Irina Rodriguez that we're gonna. I will apologize directly to
Actually,
Bacon and Eggs listener Irina Rodriguez, who loves these movies.
There's a lot more people out there who genuinely think these are great movies.
No.
Yeah, but if you look at-
this is
if
the
you look
Star
at
Wars
Discord,
prequels. They're okay.
If you look at Discord, we have 0 ratings over a 70 other than Irina's.
I'm gonna go with a 36.
Damn.
You're kidding.
Damn, boy.
I was gonna go with 36.
Damn.
That was the number in my head.
Yeah.
I
This movie
clearly have
sucks.
I have low standards for movies then, because I was going
Yeah,
to give
you
this
do.
like a 70 or something.
We watch a lot. You have to understand, we watch a ton.
I know
of
you watch a lot of
movies.
movies. You do it every week.
Here's
for
the
5
thing.
years.
I'm gonna pull up the rankings real quick.
I don't think I give this a 70 though. That's what I gave last week, right?
I
don't
would
remember.
rather watch Space Jam: A New Legacy. My hand to God. It only took like 3 weeks, but my hand to God, I'd rather watch the new Space Jam movie
See,
Shorter.
on
again,
purpose.
Not much shorter, but it is shorter.
Like I know these aren't good movies,
No,
but I feel this, but I still feel this innate urge to like protect them and defend them.
I do too.
Even
And
though I know
that was my defense. Was that like I know that this is. It's one of these things where I truly believe in rating with your heart. Like, give me your subjective score. I don't care what the standards of film say. And truthfully, this is like a 36 that I love. Like, I don't know how to explain this.
Yeah, see, this is a 36 that I deplore. Like,
But you don't like revisiting stuff.
Really cannot.
what does that
wait
have anything to do with
for
it?
next week?
Like, I don't know. I feel like it's a 36 that I want to watch again. And I want to experience again. And
Well,
I
then
like
that doesn't. Then that I don't believe then that that's a subjective score that you're giving. I think you're trying to give an objective score, because if it's something that you want to watch again, then your personal score would be higher than a 36.
No, because I want to do it to like punish myself. I want to like watch all 6 of the movies and be like, oh, I've got to watch Desolation of Smaug.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love revisiting stuff. I don't think about stuff like that. But like, if you gave me the choice right now, Ethan, would you rather go back to a human movie theater and watch Jungle Cruise again, or watch The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug?
I would really love to see it in the theater. Actually,
I would
saw this
go
in
to
theaters.
Jungle Cruise. I would go to Jungle Cruise 5 times in a row. If you're like, Ethan, you have to spend the next 10 hours watching Jungle Cruise, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Because I got so bored during this movie.
I did get
I got really bored during some parts, and then other parts I was very much paying attention.
Mary Clay,
So I
give
don't
us
know
a
how to
score.
balance that.
Please give us a score so we can move on.
65.
Okay. But like, I legitimately like. If these movies were an hour and 40 minutes long,
Yeah, that's where it gets.
then you could make 3 of them, okay? If these movies were an hour and 40 minutes long.
Here's the problem of this movie. We spend the back, maybe I would say a third, maybe not a third, I don't know. We spend a good portion of this movie watching Keeley be healed. None of that is necessary, and it's all just so they can bring in Tariel. And that was Tyler the moment earlier when he was like, no arrow can pierce me, and then the arrow pops out and you were like, oh my god, this is awful. That was my exact feeling when Keeley looks up and then Tariel is like glowing, and I was just like, this is not happening. This is so bad. Anyway, we spent a good portion of the movie devoted to this subplot. You guys haven't seen the next movie yet, but you've read the books. For Achilles to just die in the next movie,
Yeah.
they kill. We watch.
Who is if Tarael is in the book?
No, she's
No?
not. There's no woman in the book until Lobelia Saxville Baggins shows up in the last chapter and is walking out of Bag End with Bilbo's spoons. That is the first time a woman appears in The Hobbit.
That's bonkers.
Really, it's not, because it was the 1930s and Tolkien had literally, I think the only woman he knew was his wife.
Was Miss Saxville
Sackville
Baggins's?
And he wrote a book about 14 dudes on a journey. Like,
Yeah. Like,
which, yeah, again, if you're Peter Jackson making this movie in 2013, just make a couple of them. Kill your women's names anyway. Just make them women, right? Like,
yeah, I
Lady
think they would
Dwarves.
have made some of them women or something, or had more.
or make some of them people of color, or
Did you guys see the two people of color in the crowd at Lake Town?
No, I didn't see anything. I was
There was a woman,
bored.
there was a black woman, and then there was another woman with like some kind of, then again, it was winter, so that would also make sense. She had some kind of head covering, and I was like, oh my God, they have like a Muslim woman. And then I was like, oh, it's winter.
Oh, Stephen Fry was in this. Just showed up out of nowhere with a plot that I didn't care about.
Also, did you guys see the other Stephen? Stephen Colbert has a cameo in this movie.
Oh, no, I obviously did not see Stephen Colbert's cameo.
It's I wouldn't have known that was him unless my friend hadn't have gone, that's Stephen Colbert. When they're arriving in Lake Town, right before they go into Bard's house, there's that sequence of like all of the people kind of like passing messages. And then there's a guy with an eye patch who knocks on a window, and that's Stephen Colbert. And I just love that. And there's nothing more wholesome in the world than watching Stephen Colbert geek out on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Because he's met so many like famous people, but he will lose his mind whenever he talks to someone connected with Lord of the Rings. It's absolutely adorable.
To be fair, if I guess I've had the opportunity to meet one person from this movie and I did not take it, not from this movie, but from the original trilogy.
I'm sorry, you need to go back and explain yourself then.
Oh, Sean Astin came to a Comic-Con in Roanoke, and I worked that event. And I could have peed at the same time as him or gone up and I guess seen him. My buddy Tim went and peed at the same time as him. And he was like,
Okay,
oh, hey, Tim.
interesting.
Well, he didn't say, oh, hey, Tim, but he was like, oh, hey, how's it going? And they had like a pee conversation. They weren't like peeing while talking, but like.
Well, then what's a pee conversation?
It's just like when you see somebody.
Tyler's may surprise you. I don't know what pee conversations
Tyler,
are like in
just
men's bathrooms.
Don't even explain the sacred rituals.
Right. I don't have to explain it, but like the men who are listening, those who
They get
identify
it.
as men, they understand what I'm talking about.
People who've spent time in what would traditionally be described as a male restroom
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Let's
I mean,
talk.
it's nothing
Okay.
big, but Tim met Sean Astin in the bathroom. That's all.
Well, it sounds like you messed up, Tyler.
I did.
Yeah,
Honestly,
you messed up. That could have been your big break. You could
Honestly,
have
like,
said,
I
10
need-
years from now, I'm going to meet this girl on the internet and she's going to have a Lord of the Rings podcast.
Let's
10
talk
years from now.
about.
That was since you've started this.
Wait, when did you go? When was the?
This
when
is,
was that
this is the
Comic-Con?
last. So they just redid Big Lit Comic Con, but they didn't do it last year, I don't think. But it was 19. But I like so. Real quick on Sean Astin. I work for a company where on your first day of work you have to watch Rudy.
You meet Sean Astin.
Well, you have to kinda. You have to watch him not play football for Notre Dame for 2
God,
hours.
that movie sucks. Jesus
But-
Christ. Why is Sean Astin in so many bad movies?
I love Sean Astin. I don't think I've seen a movie he's in that I don't like except The Goonies, but we're not getting into The Goonies again.
I'm saying nothing.
Go ahead. Well, say what you're going to say, because I've been trying to make a point for like 5 minutes now.
What's your point?
No, Tyler's talking. Let's go.
Sean
I think it was
Astin
done. Oh,
is in a lot of movies that I like. He's in Stranger Things. I love Stranger Things.
that's not a movie.
No, but when it comes to characters from TV shows that end up in Lord of the Rings, Evangeline Lilly is in this movie as a character who does not matter and sucks.
I know.
But man, am I so excited to see her. Anytime somebody from Lost shows up in anything, I'm like, yes. That's it.
Because so few of them show up in anything ever. Like, Lost
Right?
was such a career killer. for
if I had a nickel for every time an
actor
from
from
Lost
Lost had
appeared
been
in the
the
Tolkien trilogies, I'd have two nickels.
I'd have two
It's weird that
nickels.
it
Pretty weird
happened
it happened
twice.
twice, right?
If Matthew Fox showed up, though, I'd be like, get off the television. I do not want to watch this. Matthew Fox, you and your shaky nose. It's not happening.
Yeah,
today,
get out of here. Let's talk about book management for a minute, because this book, by my count, takes up 120 pages. This movie takes up 120 pages of the 275 pages that are in The Hobbit. It begins on page 105 and ends by, again, as far as I could tell, by glance, on page 225, which means it leaves them 51 pages for the next movie, which is A, garbage management, and B, why did they cut stuff out of the book if you're going to make a 2 hour and 41 minute long movie? And you're like, you know what? We can't spend 30 seconds talking to the Eagles. How dare they?
Here's what just baffles me. Absolutely baffles me. The chapters, Queer Lodgings, and I don't remember what the one where they're in Mirkwood is called with the spiders. But
Spiders and Flies.
Those are decently long chapters for The Hobbit. And they have tons of interesting content in them. And they decided, for whatever reason, to totally gloss over all of those things and rush through it to get to Tariel, to get to whatever
Legolas.
Gandalf is doing. Because I think it would have been totally fine for them to start off this movie with like some kind of, not like quiet calmness, but like with them just chilling with Bjorn or
How does
Born.
I just don't understand.
Bourne.
Is
I don't know how to say
this,
his name.
like, coming from the Potter world and the like, all that, I can't help but be like, is this movie at all canon?
No.
I don't consider it. No.
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 Oh, see, that makes it way, way less watchable. Who is Peter Jackson? I guess is my biggest question. Like,
Also, did you guys see the Peter Jackson cameo?
No.
That one's really hard to miss. It's right at the beginning in Bree, and there's a dude who walks out eating a carrot, and he kind of looks at the camera.
nice.
That's Peter Jackson. It's very obviously Peter Jackson, too.
I do want to say the only thing I would consider canon out of all of the movies, honestly, is that Boromir dying at the end of Fellowship is better than Boromir dying at the beginning of Towers.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Poor Tolkien.
Like that was
Boromir.
That was, and also the
Pour one out for Mir.
the bigger importance placed on the Battle of Helm's Deep, I do like. But yeah, nothing in this book. The chapter Queer Lodgings, which is the chapter that encompasses their visit to Bjorn. It takes 24 pages of the 276, which is 8% of the entire book. So 8% of the trilogy should be spent. I think Mary Clay's dead.
Dead?
Well, the computer died again.
Oh.
You froze.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay.
You are.
This is
also
fun. Have fun
inside.
editing.
Yeah.
My internet connection is unstable. No shit! A shard lied to me. A shad. A Meshach and Abednego.
Ooh,
Okay, it's
we're
not
going
Meshach. That would be wild.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That was
So
it.
the chapter Queer Lodgings, which encompasses their visit to Bjorn in the book, takes place over 24 pages, which is 8% of the entire book, right? And they were just like, let's
we're gonna
spend
gloss over it.
let's spend 4 minutes a movie maybe on it. What? Why?
And
Why?
I get cutting out. There's this whole sequence of events in that chapter where like Gandalf has to kind of trick Bjorn into letting the dwarves stay there, where like he and Bilbo are talking to him, and then he's like, oh, we have some friends waiting outside, and Bjorn's like, okay, let them in, and then like 2 dwarves come in, and then they talk for a little bit longer, and then he's like, and I also have some more friends, and they repeat this until all 13 dwarves have slowly come in. So I get them not doing that. That's very tedious to watch on screen.
No, I
But-
think that would have been hilarious.
I mean, look, I would have loved
did
it.
that
That
in
was
the
my
first
favorite
movie.
chapter. That was my favorite chapter of the book. And that was the thing that people were asking me, like, what are you most excited to see adapted? Bjorn, do you know what happens in that chapter? There are fucking animals walking around on their hind legs serving the dwarves food.
It was dope.
And then Bjorn's like, hey, don't go outside tonight. You might die. I'm going to go do some bear stuff. And he leaves, and then he comes back and is like, goblins, not a problem anymore. And they walk outside, and he has the decapitated head of one of the goblins on a pike, and he has like pelted a warg. And they're just like, who are you? And then he's like, would anyone like some tea and honey bread? And it's the most obscure. It's very clearly, I think, where Tolkien got some inspiration from, what's his face?
C.S.
Tom
Lewis.
Bombadil. Oh. Like, I think he wrote Bjorn and was like, I like this guy. This is a fun this is a fun device to write into my books.
But like,
and he did that with Tom Bombadil to a much greater extent.
What's he got?
Had nothing to do.
What's he got here? Listeners, Tyler grabbed a book and is flipping through
He
it.
looks so confused. And they totally glossed
Getting
over
the
that.
sacred texts.
And then, what is that? The Hobbit?
The Hobbit.
Yeah. And then same within Mirkwood, that's supposed to be Bilbo's big, like, heroic moment where he finally, I get that, like, they kind of need it in the first movie. They needed to give him those more active moments. So it's not as much of a deal when he all of a sudden steps up and takes charge and saves the day in Mirkwood. But I don't like how it didn't look as dark and depressing as it felt in the book. And it didn't seem like they were actually in there for that long. And what are you looking at?
Bjorn's
Is that
Hall.
Mirkwood? Bjorn's Hall.
Elven
Yeah.
King's Gate.
Oh.
Yeah,
Hold
and
on,
so those are the two things that like they totally glossed over, that if you're like, hey, we have to somehow turn this 250-page book into 2.5 hour long movies, what do we do? I would look at those two chapters and be like, we're going to make that half of the movie.
Well, so let me roll back to Bjorn for a second. I do want to talk about Mirkwood because I have a very big point to make about that. But like, I was reading the book and watching that scene in my head of where all the dwarves like sneak in, and I was like, man, this is going to be a great scene in the movie.
No, it's not going to be
because it was going to be funny. So the great thing, the saving grace of An Unexpected Journey is that the movie is allowed to be fun sometimes. With this one,
Yeah.
I truly think that Peter Jackson was like, for the second segment of the book, we're going to beat the fun out of it with a club until there's nothing left but
Excuse me.
goop.
He says we're gonna put a lot of fun in where Orlando Bloom is gonna run down a river for 20 minutes
So
straight.
let's talk about that,
slaughtering orcs
that
and
whole
goblins.
sequence.
No. We're not there yet. We're not
Okay,
there yet.
we're not
okay,
there yet.
we're
Okay,
not there yet. I'm done talking about Bjorn. I do want to talk
Listeners,
about
this is, remember last week when we didn't talk about the movie at all, including the most iconic part of the entire trilogy, which is Riddles in the Dark. We didn't talk about any of that. We're talking about a lot of that this week.
So here's the thing. Hold on. I gotta look up a fact real quick. Fact.
Look up a fact. Yeah, I was like so incredible. And that's what's funny is I kept saying before these movies, I was like, there can't possibly be anything from the books that they cut that I'm going to be sad that they cut, because there's no way they cut anything. There's no way they cut
Right. There's
anything.
no way they cut anything because
They
they
had to
made
use all of it.
three
And so
2-hour and 40-minute long movies.
And so when I was watching the second movie and they were done with Bjorn in 5 minutes, I was like, what the hell was that? No. It was actually very similar to what happened when they were like, Faramir's going to take the ring. And I'm like, that's not what happens.
Listeners,
I am still on about that. I will be.
I just want to say that I saw this movie, not in theaters, but in 2014, okay? I saw this movie with my eyes in 2014, okay? I would like to take you back to a different time in my past. Imagine that it's around the middle of July, 2016. And Netflix has this hit new
Pokemon Go is
Awesome.
I'm not
16.
talking. I'm
Right.
talking, guys.
with the youths.
Pause.
I thought we were going to have a woman president.
It's around the middle of July 2016, okay? Netflix has just come out with a television show called Stranger Things. Okay? okay? And in episode 1 of Stranger Things, the disappearance of Will Byers, or the vanishing of Will Byers, they reference Mirkwood
Yes.
as the place that they ride their bikes through. And when one of the characters, I don't remember which one it was at this point, I haven't seen the first episode in a long time, says, Mirkwood, it's from The Hobbit, I said, the fuck it is? What the hell is Mirkwood?
Do you feel like
I
you
have
know now?
seen this movie.
And you don't remember that?
I didn't remember
Is that what you're
Mirkwood.
saying? Oh, okay, I gotcha.
I'm saying it was like I was
It's
hearing.
because
It's
they
like I was
don't-
hearing a word for the first
hold on.
time because the movie didn't do a good enough
Well,
job.
here's
of
Yeah, it's
that
because
scene.
they refer to it as something else in these movies, and then later on they're referring to the dark woods as Mirkwood, or for some reason, like they call the woods something else for a while, and then they're like, the locals call it Mirkwood.
This actually, let me tell you why. You cannot. One, you had to pause your awesome Summer 16 Drake album to even watch Stranger Things, and that was its own experience.
You had to pause to pour one out for Harambe to watch Stranger
Exactly
Things.
right. Two, you cannot convince.
What else happened in
You said you
2016?
watched it in 2014. You literally cannot convince me 2014 happened.
Oh, I remember.
2014
nothing from the year
happened?
2014 did not happen, Ethan.
Yeah, it
we went
did.
straight from 2013 to 2015.
Tyler, I turned 21 in 2014.
Oh man,
In March,
that's sad.
Yeah.
I remember your 20th birthday. I was looking at pictures from it literally today.
You remember my 21st birthday?
What did we do at your 21st birthday?
We went to Brick House.
Hey, welcome
And I
to
threw up in the
Brick House.
bathroom because Darun gave me a double 4 horseman as my
Gave you an
birthday
8
shot.
horseman.
Gave me an 8 horseman as my birthday shot.
Have
And
you ever had a 4 horseman, Mary Clay?
No,
Jack, John, Jim, and Jose?
I'm good. Solid pass.
It's the tequila with all the bourbon that makes you vomit.
yeah, I remember what that tasted like. It went in my stomach and I went, oh, what was that? And he goes, oh, you just did that. That was a double 4 horseman. Bathroom's over there. And I was like, I'll be right back. Thank you.
This is crazy. There's a Wikipedia with like a detailed day by day catalog of what happened in July of 2016.
Oh, summer 16. Playing dirty.
July
not
of
clean.
20 July 17th, 2016.
Out front 4 seasons looking like a damn football team.
Protesters in Pakistan take offense to the honor killing
Okay,
of internet celebrity. I don't know who that is. Where's Harambe? Harambe.
Was that 16? That couldn't have been.
Yes, it was 16. Tyler, this was all in the
No,
year
'cause
of
I
our
was-
Lord
I was in-
2016.
There's no way Harambe died after I graduated.
No, he did.
He absolutely did.
May 28th, 2016. So
yeah.
literally like a week after you graduated.
Because I was living
graduated
I was living in the apartment I lived in
Okay,
after
well, I don't know.
I was living in the apartment I lived in after Port when I bought a Make Harambe Alive Again t-shirt and it never got to me because my mail got stolen a bunch that year.
Oh, man. Rip.
Oh, man.
And then how...
That was the
You
year I
had the
believe that
best
Marge Shkreli went to
three-year-old
jail
boy.
or whatever.
Okay, so it's been
You had the
5
best
years.
t-shirt.
Okay, so that little boy is 8. In 2031, that boy is going to have some insane icebreakers to tell at college
Oh, the boy
orientation.
that Harambe died for?
Yeah, the boy that fell into the enclosure and is the reason they shot him. He's going to be like,
son,
so...
Harambe died for your sins. So, literally, your specific sins.
No, but that year was absolutely wild because that's also when Pokemon Go came out.
Oh, yes. Team Mystic
that
or
was
bust. Let me tell you right
the-
now, if you are a listener of this show and you're not Team Mystic, you can literally stop listening.
I was Valor.
I don't care what you were, Ethan. I'm talking to the listener. I know you don't listen to this show. You don't listen to anything.
I haven't. I was gonna check
I
my
listen to this show
Pokemon
a lot more
Go
than you do.
because I still have it on my phone, but I have definitely not opened that app since 2016.
There's no way Pokemon Go is on my phone right now.
And it's gonna be like, would you like to update? Would you like to install these 20
I've had
updates? I'm
I've had
gonna be
5
like, no.
phones since Pokemon Go came out.
I tell you what happens is Pokemon Go comes out, and I've opened it and been like, I'm going to get back into this. I would say once every, 14 months, like less than once a year. And every time it's like, your account never existed. You are not real. You never were real. You do not matter.
0% chance that I have played Pokemon Go since the year 2016.
Yeah.
I can't believe.
And
you
then
guys
we also got the
believed 2014
fantastic.
happened.
Oh, that was when Vine was still going on because we got. Oh no, I think that was in a speech. Hillary Clinton said, "Pokemon go to the polls." Was it Hillary Clinton or maybe it was someone else? Someone definitely said, "Pokemon go to the polls," and then that's also when we got the Vine of her going, "I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids."
Anyway,
I remember there was a Hotline Bling where former President Donald Trump danced to the Hotline Bling dance to like.
What happened in 2016?
you used to call me on your payphone.
Fun fact, I know when that Hotline Bling and Hark the Herald Angels Sing have the same rhythm, like syllable. So just do with that information what you will.
I know when the hotline bling.
That's not Hark the Herald Angels
Hark
Sing.
the Herald Angels
That's
sing.
Joy to the World
Yes.
or something. I don't know what you're saying. Hark the Herald
Herald, yeah,
Angels
right.
sing.
You're singing "O Come All You Faithful," I think.
That's it, yeah.
Whatever. Catholics.
Oh, this is a dumb article. I wanted fun stuff. I pulled up what happened in 2016, and Colombia strikes a peace deal.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so it is actually 2021. The coronavirus is still happening. Everybody get your vaccines. Vine is dead. TikTok is more alive than it's ever been.
It's probably going to die as soon as we publish this episode.
It's not.
Something's
There's
gonna
a
happen.
0% chance it dies between now and Thursday.
I wouldn't say zero. There's never a 0% chance of.
I mean, I think it's a 0% chance.
Nothing.
I think that machine takes longer to stop. Okay, this isn't Flappy Bird. You can't just pull it off the App Store and
man.
it goes away.
Flappy Bird. That was 2014,
You ever
y'all.
bust
That was
out an old
2014.
iPod or something that from that era and it's got Flappy Bird still on it? and
I
you're
still
like,
Yeah.
think about the time that we were in our dorm in Rappahannock River Hall, and Tyler Carlin goes to poo in his bedroom with his phone still, well, not in his bedroom, in his bathroom. In his bathroom. We all had separate bathrooms. They were connected to our bedrooms.
Were you listening
goes-
to the Itsy Bitsy Spider, Tyler?
Goes to poo in his bathroom and still has his phone connected to the Bluetooth speaker. And I'm sitting there in the living room, and all I hear is
Hearing the
schwunk,
ding,
schwunk,
ding.
schwunk,
Yeah.
schwunk, ding, schwunk, fuck! Schwunk, schwunk, fuck!
Oh, God. I don't think. I miss those
Who's
days
that
when.
Pokemon? It's Pikachu!
Pikachu!
It's Clefairy. Fuck! I'm so glad that sound has finally made it to TikTok.
You like that one, Mary Clay?
God, yeah.
I think about that daily. Of listening to I hear him just scream from his bathroom.
That's pretty good.
I was never good at that game.
Oh, I rocked at Flappy Bird.
I was pretty good.
I was much better than Tyler.
I could Guitar Hero the crap out of all of you. Guaranteed.
Thursday.
Flappy Bird, no
Guitar Hero.
chance.
I could never ever get to a point where I could use one of the orange keys.
Do you know what's funny?
On Guitar
We've
Hero.
had this exact same conversation
No, we haven't.
on this
There's no way we
podcast.
have.
Guaranteed. Because it ends up.
Have you and
getting
Ethan
to-
had this conversation?
No. It's specifically with you because the conversation goes to, the last time we were at the circuit, I got drunk and I sucked at Guitar Hero. Let me tell you, Guitar Hero is much harder when you're drunk. Ha 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 ha. And we all laugh. Everybody laugh. Come on, laugh.
I don't think you
goddammit.
told this.
I am to this day the 111th best 2041 player. Or 2048 player, sorry.
Wow.
In the world.
2048. Never got into 248. It was too many numbers. Too many
Yeah,
numbers.
I was the first person I knew to beat it.
I
You're
tried it and I was
amazing.
like, nope, too many numbers.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
You're amazing.
Well,
you deserve a medal.
Number 111 in the world, this guy.
Wait, you're the 111st?
I'm the 111st
Best.
2048
amazing.
player.
That's amazing.
Cool. So it's 2021. We're talking about the Hobbit: the Desolation of Smaug.
Delineation of
Delamination of Smaug.
Smag.
The defecation of
Smig.
swamp ass.
Smidge.
Cool.
Smogma.
I really want to talk about how they genuinely made Bard look like Will Turner. And I think halfway through filming, they're like, oh shit, he looks exactly like Will Turner. And we have Orlando Bloom in this movie. What are we going to do?
I don't know that they, hold on.
nothing.
I would like to conspiracy theorize for a second here. I'm not 100% sure they actually got Orlando Bloom to be in this movie.
It's
Now
just
I know
Orlando Bloom.
I know that he has aged like 14 years since he played Legolas, correct? But
Yeah.
I swear to God, they just CGI'd Jason Isaacs into this movie. Like,
Jason Isaacs isn't in this movie.
I know that I'm saying
What do you mean?
that is my conspiracy theory, is that he was the body double for Orlando Bloom, and they CGI'd Orlando Bloom out of him to play.
You know
Legolas.
I wish they had gotten Jason Isaacs for Thranduil.
Jason
That
Isaacs
would've
has got
been
that kind of
so
thick
good.
neck like Orlando Bloom does in this movie.
He would have been so good as. Oh, and then let's also. Well, actually, no. Hang on. Well, first I want to be like when
Jason
I was.
Isaacs is Lucius Malfoy. All right, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that like we've already seen him like halfway to this role, so let's just go the full Monty and have him be Thranduil with those weird ass antlers. I have a TikTok that I'm gonna post, and I'm so excited about it. And y'all won't understand this reference because I don't think you've watched Princess Diaries 2: Royal Engagement.
We
But there's
absolutely
an audio.
one A, one B. Yes, I have. Two, I'm
Okay.
aware of the TikTok audio about the moose.
Yeah,
I look like a moose.
a moose.
A very
yes,
cute
but
moose.
a very cute moose.
They call it
They
boy
the
moose go,
moose
"Wah."
"Wah."
I have antlers.
And
Wah.
I have made that for Thranduil. I just need to actually post it. It's just in my drafts. I made when the idea occurred to me, I'd laugh so much.
You pronounce all the letters at Thranduil. Do it for the rest of the characters.
Because that's how they say it in the movie.
Do it for
They
the rest
say
of the characters. Do
Thranduil.
it for the rest. If you're gonna pronounce the I in
Actually,
Thranduil,
you know
if
what?
you're gonna
I
pronounce
don't
if you're
think-
gonna pronounce the I in Thranduil, you have to
I don't
pronounce.
think they actually say Thranduil. I think they slur it every single time.
If you're gonna pronounce the I in Thranduil, you have to pronounce the I in Gloin and Thran.
Well, that's how they say it in the movie. They say Thranduil.
I don't care how they say it in the movie. If you're gonna pronounce the I in that word, you have to pronounce the I in all the words, all the names, all the
No.
names.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's just Thrain, Gloin.
Fine, then it's
in
Galadriel and Thranduil
groin.
and
There's different
Andul
dialects.
and
Galadriel.
Andril and Narsil and
Now that's not you. That's just you putting emphasis on the wrong words, not on the wrong syllables.
no,
Not
I'm
even
deleting the
just-
I's out of those words, like you're doing.
Do not talk to
If
me
I
of
deleted the
dragon
I out of
fire.
Gloin, it would just be Glon. I don't think you want it to be Glon.
You're
I'm gonna call
you're
him Glon.
There's no way that
Gimli,
John
son of
Ronald
Glon.
Reuel Tolkien sat down and said, yes, this character's name is Gloin, son of
It's
Groin.
Gloin, as in Oin, because when he was writing the 13 Dwarves, he wrote them to have these funny, sing-songy nursery rhyme names. And so it's Nori, Ori, Dory, Keely,
no,
Feely,
hold on.
Oin, Gloin.
All the dwarves are named after Norse characters.
Except now it's Glon. I will only refer to him as Glon thus far.
Gimli, son
no,
of
but-
Glon.
But really,
Gimli and Bill Bobbagins and Frodo
the way that it was a good, I don't know, hour and a half into, I don't know when Bard shows up. It was a while, and I was like, he's very attractive, but I can't place my finger on it. And my friend was like, he looks like Will Turner. And I was like, he looks like Will
Bootstrap Will
Turner.
Turner.
Bootstraps.
Bootstraps.
Tell me.
Is your name Elizabeth Turner through which flows the blood of Will Turner? Or Bill Turner?
I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request.
And so
Means
in this
no.
movie, Bard looks more like Orlando Bloom as what? No, wait.
Bard looks more like Will Turner than Orlando Bloom looks like Will Turner.
Yes, but that's because Orlando Bloom looks like Legolas. But like
Well, sort of.
Bard
Will
looks like
Turner.
his eye. Legolas's eyes. I think they like went extra hard on the
Yes.
CGI or something for his blue. They're like, we're gonna make him real blue. Like we don't want there to be any doubt
think
that he
what's
has blue eyes.
Weird to me, and you said you watched the first 5 minutes of Fellowship, so maybe I'm mistaken on this. The Lord of the Rings movies have aged better than the Hobbit movies because of the practical effects.
Yes.
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 I will say they were like, hey, somebody at Warner Brothers was like, Peter Jackson, guess what? We just finished those Potter movies, not one decapitation. You can decapitate whoever
I was
you want.
Genuinely shocked. There's one where they decapitate and they do it like it's a 3D movie, and the head hits the camera.
Well, and that's the thing
like
with the
they
freaking
really went ham on that.
I would love this movie so much more if Warner Brothers just signed a deal with Universal and they were like, you know what? We're just going to do Universal Studios Hobbit world, Lord of the Rings world, right? And they made the river scene with the
Log
barrels
flume.
into a water ride. Because that's what it looks like. Literally, you go to like barrel cam a couple times.
Yeah.
And they're trying to put you in the...
It's so...
It's shot like one of those 3D movies at a theme park.
They stuck a GoPro on a barrel and sent it down a river, and they used it in some of those shots.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sequence, it's a fun battle. Great. Goes on for, I think, 10 minutes too long.
Yeah.
It just keeps going. At one point, Legolas, did you guys catch it? He doesn't shield surf, but he orc surfs.
Yes, I absolutely.
Yeah.
He jumps on a orc and like slides it down some stairs. Oh, that's another part of the movie that they like keep cutting to show what the orcs are up to, and I don't care what they're doing. Like you could easily just cut those out, and I would just naturally assume, yeah, they're following them. Like I don't care that they. I don't care that we're showing like what they're thinking or like what their tactics are.
The only time Legolas blinks is when he realizes he has wounded. He realizes he has been wounded, and when Thranduil beheads the orc he is interrogating. The whole movie.
Is that a true thing?
That's
that you were reading?
Fun little trivia for you.
That's terrifying. Yeah. Well, that's. I don't get what they were going for with the. And also, let's talk about the fact that they bring in Legolas. Actually, you know what? I think it does make sense because his father is the Elven King of Mirkwood, and we do meet the Elven King in the book. So, and I think because we're familiar with Legolas, I think it kind of did make sense for what's his face, Legolas to be there. But I don't think he needed to have this whole subplot in the movie. Oh, and then also what the absolutely like thinnest layer of motivation for Tariel to go off, and I know it's because she wants to go save Keely because the orc is like, I poisoned the dark-haired one. They're all dark-haired or whatever he said. They all have dark hair.
Also, that one orc had poison arrows and the rest of them don't, or they all have poison arrows?
The rest of them didn't get shot, though. It was just Keely got an arrow to the knee.
But a lot of people got shot by orcs a lot in later movies.
So I guess that one died.
They probably ran out of poison.
Or maybe they ran out of poison. I don't know. Anyway, and then all of a sudden, they have literally only had one conversation together. And then all of a sudden, she is leaving behind everything to go chase after the dwarves. And there's just I don't understand it. And then they kind of try and add in like this idea that like, oh, I can't let this darkness go running through our lands on good conscience. And I'm like, why? This makes no sense. Like, it's her backstory that like my family was killed by orcs.
And you gotta also remember, like, as the dwarves are escaping, Legolas and Tariel just like
whoosh around.
No, like, we're on your side now. Like, we should be trying to stop you from escaping, but instead of doing that, we're just gonna, I guess, help you escape?
Because then then the motive switches to, we would rather let you go than let these orcs. Yeah. I think they also know that the orcs are after the dwarves, and if they don't stop the orcs will kill the dwarves, and they don't want that to happen.
Why?
Because
the dwarves are the heroes of the movie, Tyler, and none of this happens.
Right, but
so
Thorin Oakenshield came in and was like, listen, Thranduil, you abandoned my grandfather in our time of need.
And then he does that weird little shudder thing, and then I don't know what happened to his face there. Something happened. Thranduil.
I was learning about this.
He's so I don't even know how to like describe. It's like a good performance, I guess, but he's so like off-putting and weird that like I'm uncomfortable around him, but I'm also like, he's a great elf, I guess. Like he's so with that, I guess that's it, is he's really good at playing an elf.
Will Ferrell is a great elf.
You just ended the podcast, Tyler. Congratulations.
Sorry, I'm not listening to you. I'll be back in a second.
No, I know.
Cool. Got it. I found the data I was looking
I'm so
for.
over it.
Do you have more to talk about Thranduil, or can I move on for a second?
No, that's it.
Okay,
Just
cool.
Interesting character.
Tyler and Mary Clay, question for you. Pop quiz. What is the name of this movie?
The Hobbit.
The Diminution of Smaug.
No, honest answer. What is the name of this movie?
Desolation of Smaug.
Yeah. The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug.
Now, with the exception of Sir Ian McKellen, who is probably the best known actor in this movie?
Martin Freeman.
I guess Christopher Lee doesn't appear in this.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict
Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch.
Yeah. Benadryl Cucumber Patch.
Now, this movie is 241 or 2 hours and 41 minutes long, right? The first time that Benedict Cumberbatch, the title character of the movie, speaks is 1 hour and 52 minutes into this movie.
Technically, it's not true because he also voices the necromancer.
The first time that
Gotcha!
Smaug, the title character of this movie, speaks is 1 hour and 52 minutes in.
It's not necessarily about Smaug because they go and they see the desolation.
Right, yeah, but if you...
I get what you're saying.
should
I get what you're saying.
On the name
and
here.
you're going to be real mad next week.
A, 1, B, 1, 1. I'm not. And here's why. Now, this is a rule. This is a hard, steadfast rule when it comes to book and movie adaptations, right? The onus is not on the viewer of the movie to have previously read the book, okay? If you... A person going
You would
to
think
watch...
it's about Smaug.
Hold on.
Is that what you're saying?
Hold on. If you, the person who are watching this movie in 2013, have never read The Hobbit, you do not understand that the Desolation of Smaug is a geographical location listed on the map conveniently given to you at the beginning of the movie. You think that a character named Smaug is going to be desolated.
So
I thought the movie was going to be both. I've seen this movie. I saw it in 2013 in theaters at Christmas time. I thought it was going to be both. Like, I thought it was going to be like, yes, this is Lake Town or whatever that Smaug desolated, but also this will be the scene in which we kill Smaug with the black arrow, which is not in this.
By the time that Smaug speaks in this movie, it should have already been over for 7 minutes.
Yeah. Yes, you are not wrong. Well, and that was what my confusion was when I read the book, because they really create and talk about Smaug as if he is the main antagonist and the main villain of the movie. And so I thought that, like, the Battle of Five, I knew about this idea of the Battle of Five Armies. I thought that was going to involve the killing of Smaug. And then imagine my surprise, you go to a chapter all of a sudden that's 8 pages long, and it doesn't have any of our characters in it. It's just a random omniscious what's that all around perspective?
Omniscient.
Third person omniscient.
That perspective in Lake Town, and then it's like, and there's this grumpy old guy named Bard, and everyone hates him because he's such he's a doomsday prepper or whatever, and he's always bringing the vibe down, and then he comes out and he kills Smaug, and this happens in the span of 8 pages. And by the way, that's the first time you meet Bard, is in the chapter that he kills Smaug, and I was I was confused. I was perplexed. I was just wondering what was going through Jolkin's head when he said, when he wrote that chapter, and was like, instead of having, and everyone was like, well, it's not about, when I like made jokes about, it's not about, the book isn't about Smaug. He's not the villain. It's about Bilbo's journey. And I'm like, yeah, well, I thought Bilbo's journey was going to involve the killing of Smaug somehow. And I get that that's why they also, I think that's another reason for why they're like, Keely, you have to stay and, rest. And then they leave some of the other dwarves behind, is so that we can cut back to that perspective and show what's happening in Lake Town with Smaug. But it makes no sense here because it makes no sense in the book.
See, this is again where I think that The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and beyond did not exist in the mind of J.R.R. Tolkien when he wrote this book, right?
Wait, 20 years earlier? I hope
that's
not.
That's what I'm saying. That was the point Mary Clay made last week, and she was like, no, there's no way that he didn't have it.
Well, let me rephrase.
Right.
I don't think he had any hard ideas of I'm going to write this story about a ring and his nephew. I think he had ideas for more in this world sloshing around up there.
Right.
And he wrote aspects of The Hobbit that he could tie back to in future works.
But it wasn't like he put down the pen on the first one, on The Hobbit, and was like, cool, a long expected birthday. Or a long expected party or whatever, the first chapter.
Unexpected party.
An unexpected party. No, a long expected party.
No, that's the first chapter. You mean
that's
Fellowship.
what I'm saying.
You were saying The Hobbit. You were saying
I'm
The
saying
Hobbit.
he didn't put down the end of The Hobbit and then pick up another piece of paper and write down.
He didn't close The Hobbit and be like,
Book 1, Chapter 1.
No, he has to go through World War II first.
Yeah.
Did he know Lewis while he was writing The Hobbit?
I believe so, yeah.
Because if so,
he had to have, because there's talking bears and shit.
They're nuts.
He had to have known him.
There's so much that's Narnia in this book.
Well, because that's truly what it feels like. If you go back and read the chapter Queer Lodgings, you would legitimately think, yeah, it's always going to be funny, isn't it?
No, sorry.
Well, you got to think those two were living together.
So I'm reading a listicle about all the funny ways people have made fun of Benedict Cumberbatch.
No, but it literally feels like
Bannister Crumblefinch.
He handed the page to Clive Staples Lewis and said, yeah, they just got dropped off in the forest by some eagles. Just take it from there for I gotta pee. And C.S. Lewis is like, talking bears and shit, this is gonna be rad. What if the bear was also a man and he killed all the goblins?
It was a Google Doc group project.
Right. And then John got back from the bathroom and was like, what'd you write? And he was like, I don't know, whatever. Don't even read it. Don't even worry about it. That character doesn't matter. Bjorn, irrelevant.
He's not wrong.
Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. When was that written? Because I know that at least in the movie. Okay, 1951. Oh, okay, so Tolkien was the who read Prince Caspian and was like, walking trees. Maybe I can do something with that.
Those books.
Because he wrote Two Towers afterwards.
Slap.
Chronicles?
Yes.
No, you hated most of them. You despised most of them.
A few of them are pretty good. Magician's Nephew is a 5-star book.
Yeah.
I maintain that.
So is Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
So here's what we'll probably talk more about. Maybe I'll talk about this next week because I don't want to talk about because this will be based on things that happen in the next movie. So never mind. I'll return to this later. I probably won't because I won't remember what I was talking about. I think that's it in terms of my thoughts on this movie. Don't get me wrong. As much as I hated on all the random side plot stuff with Keely that in the long term doesn't matter. I love him now. And I want to marry him. The end.
Well, so does Toriel.
I know. And that's the problem is that that shot, I burst out laughing the first time it happened. That shot where she's sitting down outside his cell and they're talking and then it pans away and you just see Legolas standing off on a ledge overlooking them. And it's how hard can we force this love triangle? How can we make it evident that she likes him and Legolas likes her?
Well, it has to be
I know.
It has to be they promised Orlando Bloom a certain amount of screen time.
Maybe
it has to be, right? Because
well, I think that's what Tyler and I were talking about when you went to the bathroom. Is I was like, it does kind of make sense if you know who Legolas is. It does kind of make sense that you might see him when they're in Mirkwood, But after that, we don't need to see him again.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be the
Maybe he could show up at the Battle of Five Armies at the end, but like we don't need a side plot with him and Tariel.
No.
We don't need that.
Well, we didn't need 3 movies, and we didn't need them to be
Look.
3 hours long.
There's a fan edit. Before people send me, I'm aware of the fan edit. There's a fan edit. Who is this guy? Aiden Turner. Oh.
That's Keeley.
That's a strapping young man. I'm gonna watch Poldark, I think. I have a lot of shows that I need to watch because there are strapping young men in them.
There's a fan edit where
I feel like
Jar Jar Binks isn't in this movie at all.
No, there's a fan. Someone took all of the movies and cut everything out that was unnecessary, and they edited it down to, I think it's maybe like 3. It's a long movie, but they edited it to 1 movie that's just an adaptation of The Hobbit.
They did that with Breaking Bad, and they turned 5 seasons of TV into 3 hours. It was wild.
Well, that's kind of a different concept of like turning a TV show into a movie.
No, I know, but it was
rather than
crazy.
like we're turning 3 movies into 1 movie.
It was crazy that they were like, yeah,
They're minerals, Marie.
this is 5 seasons. This is 5 seasons of a TV show they condensed into 3 hours, and it was good. It like held up, which was wild.
Oh, and then my absolute favorite, I posted it on the Tolkien About Instagram story. Like, possibly favorite moment in all of these movies is after the barrels fall down, and then there's that moment where Bilbo's by himself in the storeroom, and he like turns around and he's like so pleased with himself that he pulled this off. He got the dwarves out, and then he stops and realizes that he's still there and he hasn't made an escape plan for himself. And then we just see him standing there in silence, and then it cuts to a wide shot of him being like, now, wait a minute. What do I do now?
Oh, Lord.
It's exactly like that. It's actually exactly like that. I'm going to maybe edit that part into a TikTok and I will give you credit. Yeah. I can hear the music playing in the back of my head. Yeah, that's exactly it. What else happens in this movie? Yeah, I think that's pretty much
There's
it.
so much that happens. I like the scenes where Gandalf does his magic spells, and they're like, and it's like the seismic charges. I mean, it's awful, but
it loses the coolness and the, I don't know, wonder when like you've seen him do cool shit in every other movie, you know?
I don't know. I feel
and again, I don't care about that side plot because I know what it turns out to be later.
I'm of the mind that they do a pretty good job of like holding back Gandalf's magical powers and keeping his whole magic system pretty mystical.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they did him dirty. I maintain this in the trilogy.
I don't really see how. I think that was just them not knowing what to do with the
He should have vanquished
character that we don't know about.
I'm sorry. He should have vanquished the Balrog with a smile. Just like, ha. Yo, you should, when I say you shall not pass, I mean it. Guy.
Baby.
But he's Gandalf the Grey.
Yeah, and he's getting off the gray in The Hobbit when he murders an entire company of goblins with one spell.
Well, he doesn't. He does kind of smite them, but those are goblins and not a Balrog.
Yeah, but there's a lot of them
from the pits of hell.
There's a lot of them. That's all I'm saying.
Here comes the Balrog. Have you guys seen that TikTok of the old woman they're watching Fellowship and then they see the light at the end of the tunnel in the movie, and then whoever's has the phone turns to her and she goes, "Here comes the Balrog."
Here comes the Balrog. Hello, Balrog.
Hello, Balrog.
Welcome.
Hello, man. Hello, taxpayer. Here comes the Balrog. Hello.
Welcome. There he is. There's some content idea for you, Mary Clay.
I'm getting lots. I'll be honest, I'm kind of running out of ideas up here in the old whatever that is.
You're running out of talks.
It's gone. She's out of there.
She's ticked her last talk.
No, not necessarily even with TikTok, but just with memes. They're not coming to me as easy as they're. Maybe that's when I
getting
know.
older. That's growing up right there.
Well, I guess
Maybe
this is
that's
growing
when
up.
we'll know that it's time to end the podcast. Is when
It's when,
I can't make
when you
memes
can't make
anymore.
memes anymore.
when I'm like, guys, I think I've made every Lord of the Rings.
You'll
meme
never
there
make
is
it to the.
make.
You will never make it to the Amazon series then.
I've run out of ideas. I think it's time to end the podcast.
I don't because if you start reading the Silmarillion,
But
I
Mary
don't.
Clay, you're halfway through the Silmarillion. I'm out of memes.
No. See, this is the thing.
We can't go on.
I don't think that'll be the moment. Like, because if you get to halfway through the Silmarillion, I think you'll just be making memes that nobody gets.
I'll be making which is what it was like when I was reading Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings. I was making all of these memes that people were like, I don't get it. And I'm like, obviously,
If you were reading
the book,
this chapter-
whatever.
But you'll
and then
be
I
making-
watched and then I watched the movies and I was like, oh, I understand why. I understand now
And then-
why that meme makes no sense.
Yeah, if you make memes about Lord of the Rings that don't get through to the people that didn't read the book, if you start making memes about the Silmarillion, you will get through to
But I
maybe
think they
1/25 of that group of people.
I don't know. I think they will now, and I think there's going to be like a growing audience
There
for
will
that since the
absolutely
series
be.
is
Yeah, but I
coming
don't
up.
think it's going to grow enough that you can make a hyper-specific memes about things that happen in the stories in the Silmarillion. Is she gone again? Oh, no.
I don't know.
I see
Oh,
your
nope,
smile.
I'm back. Am I here?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Okay. There I'm back again.
You said you were out of
Sorry.
memes.
I'm checking it. Well, I'm checking my latest meme.
You had 12
It's got a
brothers
lot
and
of
sisters?
comments. A lot of people are like, I forgot about Sebastian the Hedgehog. What did you guys think of Sebastian the Hedgehog?
I didn't think of. I like Radagast though. I'm actually a Radagast.
You
stan.
like Radagast?
110%. Yes.
You would.
That makes sense. That
You
makes
would
sense.
like
to me.
Radagast.
I can't believe you guys don't. I would have thought this was the popular opinion that like
They just go too much too far with Radagast and it gets old quick and then they're like, we're gonna be on him for another 5 minutes.
I, don't
I
know.
did
See,
like
I
that
could have
moment in this
watched- I could
movie.
have watched like 9 hours worth of The Shire. Just like
Okay, well
times-
that's different than Radagast. I did like the moment in this movie where he's like, what do I do if it's a trap or something? And Gandalf says, turn around and never come back. And then Gandalf is like, it most definitely is a trap. Oh, that was one of the rules for the drinking game I was playing, listeners, is take a drink every time Gandalf says something like ominously dark.
Gandalf, oh my god, this actually frustrated me. This was the first character dialogue frustration I've had with Lord of the Rings ever. Is that like at every freaking turn, Gandalf will say something and then be like, it definitely is a trap. Like he'll have this little aside to the audience where he's like, I don't know. Like it happens in Fellowship
that's-
where they're in the mines of Moria and he's like, I'm not lost. I have no recollection of this place whatsoever.
I have no memory.
Right? And it's
I
like,
have no memory.
oh,
of that.
ha, ha.
Well, that's just Gandalf the Grey. That's just how Gandalf the Grey is, because Gandalf the White is not like that.
Gandalf the White
At least
is,
I don't
is a
think.
little too
I'm talking out of my ass. I haven't seen the Lord of the Rings movies in months.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about it last night. I was like, how many times actually have I seen the Lord of the Rings movies? I've only seen them each. I think I've seen them each 2 times and the extended editions 2 times.
Well,
And that's it. So
next
4
week
times,
we get to
I
talk
guess.
about the Hobbit: the Battle of Five Armies.
The Battle of Smaug. Battle of Five Armies.
The Desolation of Smaug.
Oh, I really want to I do have to say this. Every so often, as Benedict Cumberbatch is saying his lines, they just like forget to turn on the Benedict, like the Smaug voice, and it's just like
His Benedict Cumberbatch voice,
his like Sherlock
his-
voice comes through, and you're like,
yeah.
oh, you're right, that is Benedict Cumberbatch. Look at that, and then it goes back to like it could be literally anybody in a booth with a whole bunch of sound effects.
Cool.
His the body snatch cummerbund voice comes through.
Yeah.
Well, before Mary Clay's internet explodes, let's get to the big board.
Okay. Let me punch everything in. Do you have the big score?
What's that?
Do you have the listener score?
I do.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Oh, I need to figure out what the
Have
screen
we really
time.
been recording for that long already? Oh, I guess we have. Time flies when you're not screaming about Brandon Sanderson.
You know that Brandon Sanderson is a Mormon, or at least he went to Brigham Young for 2 degrees.
Did not know that. You know what? I'm really surprised that I remembered as much of that movie as I did. Because before, when we hopped on, nothing. There was nothing up here. All I could think about was Riddles in the Dark. And I was like, I have a lot of notes about Riddles in the Dark if you guys want to hear that. You can hear that on That's What I'm Talking About in, I don't know how many weeks.
1,000.
So yesterday, and I guess during the past week, I'd been thinking to myself, why did I go insane when I started the coverage of the Lord of the Rings movies? Why was I losing my mind? That was silly. Why did that happen? Now that I'm here, I remember. It's because at any given point, I have some random part of the trilogy story playing in my head. Because yesterday I was editing part 2 of Unexpected Journey. I was watching Desolation of Smaug, and then today I was watching for part 4 of Unexpected Journey, and I have to start editing part 3 of Unexpected Journey.
Y'all.
And then next week we are recording for Battle of Five Armies.
Y'all, I'm a little concerned about this one's position on the list.
Is it the bottom?
You don't think it's going to hit the bottom?
So let me recap. I gave it a 36. Ethan, you gave it a 36. Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it a 74. Metacritic gave it a 66.
But we're replacing Metacritic with Bilbo's screen time, remember?
Oh, is that to give it a little boost?
No. It was last week. It isn't this week.
Well, don't do that then. That's not fair. Also, I forgot how little my score counts, so make it a 100. I'm just going to do that every time I come on.
How is that not fair? We did it last week.
Yeah. Your score does not count for much. I don't think that'll help.
That's because there wasn't that much of a difference.
Yeah, well, just
make my score 100.
Bilbo was in. We're not making your score 100. There's no way. Bilbo was in this movie for 21% of the movie. Fun fact.
Oh my god.
There's no way.
It's the same source I used last week.
Does that count all the times he was actually there, but he was invisible?
That is screen time.
Yo, how about that moment? That's actually one of my favorite moments. When he's in the woods and he goes to get the ring from the spider, and then he has that realization of like, my God, what kind of power does this already have over me? And he's like kind of horrified. Again, I really think they should have given Martin Freeman an Oscar for this performance.
Bilbo is in this movie for 34 minutes.
That's absurd.
What's the listener score, Ethan?
I need to go back.
The listener score is a 55.
Yikes.
Okay, that is the highest heavyweight score.
That might be a new low on the listener score. I'm not going to lie to you.
No. I feel so. See, this is why I low-key didn't want y'all to cover these movies, is because I feel bad.
Why?
Like, people don't like these movies. And now we're talking about them.
Bad news, everybody.
Is it the new low?
Is it at the bottom?
It's at the bottom.
Is that including Metacritic, though?
Let me see what happens. Metacritic isn't going to pull it out of the bottom.
Okay, that's the question then, yeah.
Let me give it the real Metacritic score.
I will be so interested next week because I'm pretty sure my score will be
So with the regular Metacritic score,
week.
as we normally calculate it, what is the...
I don't want to tell you.
What is the total Bacon and Egg score?
I'm afraid.
It is a 49!
God, I feel so...
Just for reference, Space Jam and New Legacy, which I did give a 100% to, so like obviously...
Yeah, Tyler did give that one a 100%, I gave it a 23. So
Space Jam and New Legacy is at a 57 to The Hobbit's Desolation of Smaug.
Here's the thing.
49.
Yeah, but
Before watching these movies, I had no desire to watch the original trilogy. Now I kind of do. Because I feel like I need to go back and I need to like watch what was right.
Here's the thing, listeners. I can't lie to you. Space Jam and New Legacy is better than this.
Not according to you. You gave Space Jam and New Legacy a 23.
Yeah, I gave it a 23 because that's LeBron James's basketball number, and because you gave it a 100.
A
this is what
100%.
I'm talking
Again,
about.
I
This is what I'm
feel
talking about,
such conflicting feelings because I feel like I need to defend this movie.
Why?
Be like, it's not that bad, guys.
Yes,
it's
it
not that
is.
bad. Because Ethan, because I've been covering it. I'm going to be covering it for 3. I'm going to be
Okay, but
covering
here's
these
the thing.
movies for 3
This-
months. I've been reading the book for 4 months. I've been doing this podcast for
I will
2
say
years.
this.
This book, listeners,
I feel a
Ethan is
need to
holding up a
defend
copy
it.
of the Hobbit.
Please don't go on a tirade about how it's not a good book because I
I'm
actually
not-
think it's a very
I'm not-
delightful book.
I'm not gonna. Let me finish my sentence for once in this podcast recording. This book rips. This is a great book. These
Literally
movies
last week.
suck.
Last week you went on a tirade about how there's about how
I
it's
said
not a
it
good
was
book at
worse
all.
than Sherlock Holmes. It doesn't mean it's a bad story. It means it's very dense and very slow.
No, you said it was a bad book
I
last
don't
week.
think I did.
I think you did.
I think you heard what you
Listeners,
want. I
Tyler's
think you heard
leaving.
what you wanted to hear.
Listeners, let's all go back in time and listen.
Well, guess
to
what
last
I'm not
week's
going to do is
episode.
put the tape in there, the clip, because
I know you're not going to do that because it's going to prove you wrong. You're not going to put in clips that. Good job.
no, I'm just not going to go find it. I don't have time.
I can do you one better, Tyler.
She can do you one better, Tyler, is what she said.
The Greatest Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
I think that's the same
All
one I
of
have. Hang on. Pause.
Is it from
Time
Barnes and
out.
Noble?
This is classic series.
Let's all just read Sherlock Holmes.
That's
Sherlock
the-
Holmes.
What color
and
is
I
your
use it as
Hold
like
on.
my little.
What color is your binding? Not binding. Your pages.
The pages are white.
Like this part.
Excuse me. White.
See, that's where mine is better. They're green.
I had called upon my friend Sherlock. Or maybe I should. I called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes. Oh, that just reminded me. Movies that are far, far worse than Desolation of Smaug. Sherlock Gnomes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Sherlock
The
Holmes.
sequel to Romeo and Juliet, but about Sherlock
Okay.
Holmes.
Tyler, show your copy.
I'd called upon my
Mary
friend
Clay,
Sherlock
show your
Holmes.
copy. I have a different one.
Look at us.
I'm glad we all have
distinguished
Sherlock Holmes
academics.
copies.
all have different hobbits, right? You two have the same hobbit.
Mary Clay and I have the same Hobbit.
I believe we do.
Except hers-
I have another copy on my shelf that's just has like an interesting cover, but it's hardback.
Mine's
so
one of the
I can
gold
really
foil ones.
Oh, mine is
read it. Let's read
green.
this. Tobias Gregson, is that really his name?
Yeah.
What a terrible name. In the year 1878, In the year 1878, I took my degree of Doctor of Medicine of the University of
In
London.
the year
and proceeded
1878, I
to
took
neatly
my
go
degree of Doctor of
through the
Medicine
course
of the University of London
prescribed
and proceeded to neatly to go through
in
the course
army.
prescribed to me
Having
for
completed my
surgeons in the
studies
army.
there, I was
Having
duly
completed my
attached to
studies
the
there, I was
5th
duly attached to the 5th
Northumberland
Northumberland
Fusiliers
Fusiliers as assistant surgeon.
When
The
I asked if
regiment
Dunstan
was
could be head of
stationed
you,
in India
the
at the
campaign
time.
brought honors and promotion to many,
And
but for
before
me,
I
it
could
had
join
nothing
it,
but
the Second
misfortune
Afghan
and
War had
disaster.
broken out. On
I
landing
was
at Bombay,
removed
I
from my
learned that my
brigade
corps had
and attached
advanced
to
through the
the
passes
Berkshires,
and was
with
already
whom I
deep in
said,
the enemy's
"Think
country.
about me
I followed, however,
There, I
with
was
many
struck
other
on the
officers
shoulder
who
by
were
a
in the same
Giselle
situation as
bullet,
myself
which
and
shattered the
succeeded
bone
upon
and grazed
teaching
the
Kandahar in
subclavian
safety,
artery.
where I found
I
my
should have
regiment
fallen
and
to
at
the
once
hands of the
entered
murderous
upon my new
Ghazis,
duties.
had it not been for the devotion
campaign
and
brought
courage
honors and
shown by
promotion to
Murray,
many, but
my
for me it
orderly,
had nothing
who
but
threw me
misfortune and
across the pack
disaster.
horse and
I was removed
succeeded
from
in
my
bringing
brigade
me
and attached
safely
to the
the British
Berkshires, with
lines.
whom I served at the
Were
fatal
it
Battle of
worn
my
with
Ground there lived a hobbit, not a nasty, dirty wet hole filled with the ends of worms.
Mr. and
an
Mrs.
oozy
Dursley
smell.
of number
Nor
4
you had a
Privet
dry,
Drive
bare,
were
sandy
perfectly
cold.
normal. Thank you very much.
That
Hold
was
on.
The Hobbit. I read the whole thing. Do you have the Hobbit in your hand right now?
I don't. I have a random book.
It's going to be a surprise book.
Of all the many things humans rely on plants for, sustenance, beauty, medicine, fragrance, flavor, fiber, surely the most
Fucking
curious is our use of them to
motorcycles.
change consciousness, to stimulate our calm, to fiddle with, or completely alter the qualities of our mental experience.
All right, let's wrap the episode so that we can do whatever this is in the post show. Listener, if you don't listen to the Hash Browns, it's $5 a month.
Who will
on
believe
Patreon.
my verse in time
The
to
show
come?
after the show,
If it were
where we
filled
do
with your
dumb
most
stuff
high
like
deserts.
this.
Deserts.
Is that Shakespeare?
Yeah.
It is. Desserts has 2 S's, right?
Desserts like the food has 2 S's.
I think we should. Okay, I've got an idea for the hash browns.
Dessert. We all just read a different book all at the same time.
I was going to say we should do popcorn reading from our 3 different versions of A Study in Scarlet and see if they line up.
Do I have a study?
That's
in Scarlet
scary.
in this one? I'm sure I do.
I don't know. Whatever the first story, because mine is complete. And so is Mary Clay's. So whatever
Tis
the
but
first
thy
story you
name,
have
that is
I
my
do not.
enemy. Thou
The
art thyself,
Musgrave
though not a
Ritual is the
Montague.
first
You have Baskerville.
That's Montague. It is
I do
nor
have
hand,
Baskerville.
nor
Okay,
foot,
we have all got
nor
Baskerville.
arm, nor face, nor any part
Okay, Mary Clay,
belonging to
stop.
a
We're
man.
moving on.
Oh, he's some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other word would smell.
This has been another episode of Bacon and Eggs. Bacon and Eggs production of the WB&E Podcast Network. For more great podcasts like this one, the one you're listening to, and like That's What I'm Talking About by Mary Clay Watt, a comedian and our friend who's on the show with us right now, you can head to WBNE.org
Those are all
and
lies.
find more great podcasts like Sincerely Us, who's currently having the great idea of doing the like alt Tonys, the Tonys that deserved Tonys. They call them the
Tonys.
Julie Awards. It's great.
Tick Tonys.
And go over to twitter.com/sincerelyyuspod right now and figure all that out. And here's a preview for Sincerely Us right here.
Dear listener, today's going to be a good day, and here's why.
Because today we have found your new favorite podcast.
Do you like all things musical theater?
Or do you just like Hamilton?
Then Sincerely Us is perfect for you.
We take deep dives into modern musicals and teach you all that you need to know.
From props and sets,
To playwrights and composers,
we will get you caught up on all things Broadway.
we are Becca and Eni, 2 best friends.
Here to teach you all about the shows that we love.
Sincerely Us, a podcast for the casual musical theater fan.
Join us every Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts and on WBNE.org.
Here on Bacon and Eggs, our graphics are based on Brandon, Graphite WMB on Instagram, and our music is by Andrew Scott Bell, AndrewScottBellMusic.com. You can find those links in the description, as well as a link to donate to our Patreon page, patreon.com/bacon and eggs.
Where you can listen to the Hash Browns, which is a show after the show.
You can listen to Hash Browns,
Where
the show
we're
after
all
the show. We
gonna
talk about the
read
show. Where
different books
We're
at
all
the
going to
same
read The Hound of the
time.
Baskervilles at the same time. And it's going to be
But with
terrifying.
my internet coming
it's
in and
gonna
out
be terrifying.
sporadically.
Anyway, on behalf of Tyler Carlin and Mary Clay Watt, I've been Ethan Edgehill. That's Tyler Carlin. That's Mary Clay Watt. And until next time, arrivederci.
As soon as the raft of barrels came in sight, boats rowed out from the piles of the town, and voices hailed the raft steerers.